Welcome back to the official review presented by Athlon Sports. Last night, we might have seen something that may never happen in Major League Baseball again. So let's talk about it. Last night, Clayton Kershaw became the 20th pitcher and just the 4th lefty to strike out 3,000 batters, joining Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander as the only 2 active pitchers to do so. The 3,000 strikeout club is one of the most exclusive clubs in baseball, with fewer members than even the 300 win club, which is often considered like a prestigious club for baseball. The past couple of years, the strikeout rate in baseball has been the highest it's ever been, with 2025 being the 8th highest season of strikeout percentage at 21.9% in baseball history. And yet, you still have guys like Zach Wheeler, who told The Athletic that he doesn't think anybody else will get to the 3,000 strikeout club.
Is that because they think people aren't pitching as many innings?
That's exactly it. The biggest thing is both usage and longevity. So in the past decade or so, we've seen a big decline in starting pitching usage. In last season, only 15% of pitchers went more than 6 innings, and in 2012 that was up at 43% when guys like Verlander and Kershaw were in their peak. So it's definitely the stark decline in pitcher innings that has led to many questioning whether or not we'll see another 3,000 strikeout member again.
What do you think? I mean, I think that makes complete sense that we won't, because look, if you're pitching less innings, you're going to have less opportunities to strike out as many guys. But I kind of just think it's one of those like milestones that if, let's say Paul Skeens, I know he probably pitches way less innings. If it's on his radar as he's getting to the middle of his career, maybe it's in the back of his head, maybe he pitches more innings than some other guys. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the guys I'd point to as like a guy who's young and can potentially do it, is Skeens. The guy who I have circled on my list as top guy who could do it is Chris Sale. Sale is at 2,528 strikeouts right now, as of recording. That put him probably needing about 3 or 4 more seasons to get it done. He's 36. He's had major injury concerns in his career, but he looks like better now than he's ever been in his career.
I think he's a horse. I think he's one of those guys. I don't think there's that many aces that can go into like that Verlander age. Chris Sale's kind of a maniac. I could see him. He's also kind of like started before this trend really took hold. So I think I could see him doing it.
Yeah, Sale's certainly the last of the old guard pitchers.
Yes.
Of those sort of 1-1 ace guys who you don't really see as much today. I mean, you have guys like in modern baseball, we have Tariq Skubal, who's a stud, but he's already 28 and has less than 1,000 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Skeens, very young guy, can do it. Health is going to be the biggest thing. Not that he's been hurt, but the biggest issue in baseball facing starting pitching today is health. With all these pitchers throwing harder than ever before, throwing with more movement, longevity isn't the goal. It's give me 5 innings, 5 and dive. If you get hurt, there's another guy in the minors who can throw just like you. We'll bring him up. So there's less of a focus on getting your one starter, getting your ace, this amount of heavy workload like you used to see with guys like Verlander, Kershaw, Scherzer. It's the pitcher usage is just so different now than it's ever been. So that's the one thing that's like right now, if you squint and look, there's nobody in the next decade or so who's going to do it. There's many eras in baseball that hasn't seen a 3,000 strikeout performer. From 1923 until 1974, a 50-year stretch. There was not a single pitcher to throw 3,000 strikeouts.
Which is crazy because they pitched a lot of innings back then.
Yeah, I mean, Walter Johnson did it. He was the first person to do it in 1923, and then no one did it until Bob Gibson in 1974.
And then they raised the mound.
Yes, so they raised the mound. They moved the mound. Yeah, they raised the mound and changed it. And we've seen just year after year. From there, you had Gaylord Perry do it in 1978. Nolan Ryan do it in 1980. Nolan Ryan would end up throwing nearly 6,000 strikeouts.
Wow.
5,714. Yeah. And then you saw, the guys who pitched in the 60s and 70s started coming in, and you had a big increase from 1980 to 1986. You had Nolan Ryan, Tom Seaver, Steve Carlton, Ferguson Jenkins, Don Sutton, Phil Niekro, and Burt Blyleven all reached 3,000 strikeouts. So then you saw a gap, and then you had the guys like Clemens, Johnson, and Maddox do it. Kurt Schilling also did it. That era of the 90s starters. And now we're seeing the 2010 starters do it. So to me, this is an ebb and flow game. Pitching changes every 10 years or so. we'll see if once this cat's out of the bag and the Pandora box has been opened, whether or not we can put it back in, because we've never seen pitcher usage like this.
Exactly.
So it's very different now. However, things change so fast in sports. I wouldn't be surprised if Sale gets there. I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Skeens is able to stay healthy and do it. Skubal, on the fence about him. He strikes out a lot now, but he'll have to do it for a decade straight. But there's going to be a guy who we've never heard of right now who will end up doing it. Maybe he's 4 years old. Who knows?
But like, they're not incentivized to do more innings. Like, because pitchers are still getting paid. Like, they're still getting that ace money, but they're doing less innings. But obviously, they're putting more behind their pitches, so they can't go as far. Or like, there's just no reason to. Mm-hmm. So like, if I'm a young pitcher, if I don't need to, and I'm like, because I'm thinking, you get to that second really big contract, you're like rich for life money. So it's like kind of worth like not getting the 3,000 strikeout if it means I get to pitch longer and get more years and more contracts.
Yeah, I think the exact perfect example of a guy like that is Blake Snell, two-time Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell, who has, when he pitches, he can give you 5, maybe 6 innings of quality ball, but he's not going to last long in games. He'll never be the guy to strike out 3,000 guys, but he is one of few players in baseball right now who are multi-time Cy Young Award winners, which would mean that he's probably one of the best pitchers in baseball when healthy. I mean, like, he's only 32 and he's had, pulling up his stats now, he's only 32 and he has 1,300 strikeouts. So for a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, he'd have to double down on that. I mean, he's not gonna.
He'd have to be good till he's like 39, 40.
Yeah.
Which is just would be an insane career.
It's crazy that he's a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, 1-time All-Star.
That is crazy. Wow. Imagine winning the Cy Young and not being an All-Star. Did Jamie Moyer hit 3,000? Just because I know he pitched a long time.
No, he just pitched a while. He wasn't ever.
I know he wasn't a strikeout guy, but I was wondering if he compiled Frank Gore style.
Nah, it's not like that. It's a little different. The only 2 players who are non-Hall of Famers to reach this list are Roger Clemens. He's not in for obvious reasons. Kurt Schilling, who's not in because people hate him.
Wow.
Yeah. Even CC Sabathia, who's getting inducted this year, he was the person before Verlander to make it. But what do you think? Will we ever see a 3,000 strikeout pitcher again? Let us know in the comments.